Feminism. It used to be a dirty word. It conjured up images of bra-burning, man-hating women on a rampage. Fast forward to today, and it's a widely talked about issue by males and females alike. Feminism is more prevalent in the media, it's discussed more in politics, and everyone is speaking out against the issues. One issue that's been popping up more frequently in the media over the past few years is rape culture. Probably asking yourself, wait, what does that really mean? In textbook terms, rape culture is an environment in which rape is prevalent and violence against women is normalized and excused in the media and popular culture. So what does that look like? One of the most prevalent feminist movements against rape culture is the slut walk. They've held marches in several different countries, and it's been covered by the media over the past few years. It's one of the more radical protests for feminism against rape culture. You see women walking around wearing little clothing or promiscuous clothing, saying that they don't deserve to be raped based on what they wear, how much they drink, or etc. This may seem to you like no duh, but that's one of the biggest issues inside of rape culture, victim blaming. Based on what she looks like, what neighborhood she was in, how much she had to drink that night, how many people she sleeps with, anything to blame the victim and not the rapist. While I was looking for images in the slut walk, I came across a comment that is actually a real-life example of rape culture. It reads, "I don't get it. If I walked around a bad neighborhood waving wads of cash, it's not surprising I'd get robbed. But I support any cause in which chicks strip, so yay for the slut walk." It's comparing a woman and her vagina to money, something that can and will be stolen from her if she's not careful. And that's the wrong message. It's not about the woman protecting herself, it's about teaching men what rape is and not to do it. Some of you have seen images of the slut walk. Some of you had heard women complain about these issues, but you're still not convinced. So let's dig a little deeper. Picture this. You, or a woman you care about, has a guy friend. They've hung out occasionally through mutual friends, have classes together, talk occasionally. They're acquaintances, but nothing more. One day they're talking and realize they're both mildly obsessed with the Star Wars franchise and make plans to eat junk food and binge watch all the movies. She meets him in his apartment. They sit on the couch in the living room and start the marathon. Not too long after, starts moving a little closer to her on the couch. She tries to adjust so they're not thigh to thigh, but it keeps moving closer. Then he moves her hair and tries kissing her neck. She moves and tells him that she just wants to watch the movie. Barely minutes go by and he's trying again. She tries to push him off. She says she's not interested in him like that. He thinks, oh, she must be playing hard to get. She wants me so bad. Tries again. More forcefully this time. He's on top of her. She struggles. She tells him to stop, but he's not listening. He's stronger than her, and she can't break free of him. Before she knows it, he's hiked up her dress and forced himself inside her. He rapes her. When he's finished, he sits back up on the couch, but she's frozen. She can't believe what's happened. She finally gets up. She says she needs to leave, gathers all of her things, and rushes out the door. He texts her later that night saying, "I had a good time. Hope we can get together again soon." She doesn't reply. Now let's say she's part of the third of all rape victims that report this to the police. For the sake of this example, let's say she's also part of the 6% that leads to an arrest. And even more unlikely, that she's part of the 1% of rape cases that actually goes to trial. The defense attorney asks her what she wore to his apartment. Well, why did she wear a dress if it wasn't a date? If she wasn't interested in him? He asks her why she agreed to go to his apartment alone if she didn't want to have sex with him. She dressed up, she came over to his place. What was he supposed to think? He says, why didn't you scream? Why didn't you say anything when you left? How was he supposed to know that anything was wrong? These are all examples of victim blaming. Not only does she have to relive her assault in court with detectives over and over again and be degraded by the defense, her personal life is also in shambles. Most of their mutual friend group won't talk to her. They're saying she just didn't want to be labeled a slut, so she cried rape. They say this could ruin his life. The guys say all the girls have to act like they don't want it. So of course, he had to be a little pushy. The girls say she was always flirting with him and says she sleeps around a lot. Although this was a completely fictional story, this is the reality for many rape victims. Only a third of all rapes are committed by a stranger. More often than not, it's someone she knows, even trusts. Almost half of all rapes are by an acquaintance and a quarter by the significant other, according to RAINN.com. That shouldn't scare you. Is it any wonder why 2/3 of all sexual assaults go unreported? Women fear the ridicule by their friends and sometimes family, as well as the embarrassment of being badgered in court. Often people will say they're lying to avoid appearing promiscuous, or because they have a boyfriend and don't want them to think that they cheated. When in reality, only 2 to 8% of rapes are false accusations. Not to mention, the chances of their rapist seeing jail time is slim to none. So they have gone through all of that pain for nothing. Even though this was a very specific and detailed example of how rape can occur and how rape culture has perpetuated these kinds of situations, there are many examples of everyday rape culture within the story. We saw examples of victim blaming. What was she wearing? Why did she agree to go to his apartment? Why didn't she scream or fight or inflated sense of false rape reports? And defining women as sexually passive. Girls always have to act like they don't want it. Always perceived as playing hard to get. Really, we just don't want you to have it. Other examples of everyday rape culture? Programs that teach women how not to get raped. Don't walk alone at night. Carry pepper spray. Etc. Teaching men that their masculinity is defined by how much sex they have. Always pressure to get laid. Trivializing sexual assault. It's no big deal. Boys will be boys. He's just curious. Rape jokes. They're not funny. It's a serious issue. Confusing what consent is. It is not the absence of a no, but the presence of a clear yes. Rape culture is anything that encourages male sexual aggression and supports violence against women. We can all agree that rape is bad. We can all agree we don't want violence. So what can we do? Educate those on the definition of consent. Lots of programs are being rolled out to colleges to go through safe alcohol practices and also sexual assault. Stress the importance of consent. Don't just plow through. Make sure that you have a clear yes before you pursue anything. Support those that come forward with a rape accusation. Someone comes to you and says they've been assaulted, do whatever you can to show them that you believe them and you support them. Don't be afraid to interfere. If you see a situation that doesn't seem right, step in. Always make sure you have consent before you have sex. You may think in your mind, oh, this is going great, nothing's going on, but just double check. A bigger and much more time-consuming issue is to redefine masculinity for men. It's based on sex and power, and that perpetuates rape culture against women. Support organizations that are fighting rape culture. Initiate programs at your own school to teach about consent and sexual assault and how to deal with it before and after it happens. And speak out against rape culture. I hope the biggest things that you've learned from this speech is that rape culture exists. We need to stop it, and you can help.